Good morning, respected colleagues, and welcome to the discussion Strengthening Early Learning Through Assessment and Reflective Teaching. My name is Amandeep Kaur, and during this lecture, I'm going to analyze how systematic assessment is the basis of best pedagogical practices in early childhood education. This discussion will define the importance of assessment, outline the three major modes of learning evaluation, clarify the teaching learning cycle, and reveal how the version 2.0 of the EYLF and the Australian Professional Standards of Teaching uh, can be used to inform both an effective and morally responsible instruction design. Uh, so on this slide, why assessment is essential for quality teaching. The role of the assessment plays is important in the field of quality early childhood education. It helps teachers to gain a detailed understanding of what children already know, what is competent, and what interests them the most. By establishing data-informed decision making based on ongoing ethically based and reflective assessment practices, educators can help children form the identity, support their well-being, and locations in their wider context. Assessment also plays the role linking individual learning of children in domestic, academic, and societal contexts, and promotes continuity and inclusivity. Effective assessment, as explained by the Department of Education, does not only involve testing; it involves observation, interpretation, and strong action that prominently inform the path of the growth path of every child. Now, understanding approaches to assessment. Assessment practices in early childhood education is based on three main approaches, including diagnostic, formative, and summative. And diagnostic assessment is usually given at the beginning of the learning experience, so as to determine the knowledge, skills, interests, and learning requirements already possessed by children. This undertaking helps teachers to set up baseline starting points and also in the planning of acco- um, in the planning according to the abilities of the child. Formative assessment is continuous and is done throughout the learning process. It involves observation of children as they play, communicate, and explore, interpretation of their developmental progress, and consequential modification of instruction strategies based on observed data. And the summative assessment is carried out at the end of the learning period and gives a general overview of the achievement and development patterns of children within a period. This summary promotes reflective practice documentation and formal reporting. This combination of three approaches can give full picture of a child and helps educators to make meaningful and inclusive decisions in the curriculum. This is the slide telling value and impact of each approach. So all the assessment methods provided different information on the learning, growth, and development of child. The opportunities provided through diagnostic assessment are inclusive and equity inducing since they recognize the level of initial proficiency in each child. It allows teachers to identify prior knowledge, cultural background, and individual support needs, and thus direct the instructions uh, in accordance with the needs. Formative assessment is dynamic through systematic data gathering. Educators are able to address the interests of the children in the reality time and modifying the learning environments and broaden concepts through conscious teaching. Summative assessment is the summative course of development of learning of a child over the period of time, which provides essential evidence of reflection, communication with parents, and evaluation by institutions. So these methods, when used together in concert, uh, provide a just evidence-based reflective pedagogical practice, such that assessment directly drives better outcomes and enhances learning experiences. Next is the teaching learning cycle in action. The teaching learning cycle is a reflective process that incorporates observation, assessment, and planning in the early childhood learning institutions. So there are five steps which are observe, analyze, plan, implement, and then reflect. Educators start the cycle with the systematic observation of their behaviors, interests, and social interactions so that they can accumulate empirical evidence of learning. They then undertake the analysis of the data collected in order to identify the curriculum objectives that are being fulfilled and the areas that require further assistance. Implementation and planning stages involve designing play-based experience. The final step involves educators reflecting on these outcomes in order to make future planning in the curriculum. So, according to Wallis, this cyclic model encourages teamwork, intentional pedagogy, and continuous learning outcomes and improvements. Now, the ELF Volume 2.0 Guiding Effective Practice. The Early Years Learning Framework version 2.0 forms the national standard of high quality curriculum, teaching, and assessment in the Australian early childhood learning. It assists educators in aligning themselves with five connected learning outcomes, namely the sense of well-being, a sense of identity among children, connection with the community, the well-being, confidence as learners, and skills in communication. EYLF 2.0 also aligns all the principles of belonging, being, and becoming, reaffirming the importance of relationships, inclusion, and respect to diversity in all learning spaces. So, by following this methodology, the educators will be able to make informed, ethical, and reflective decisions that will make the learning environment inclusive, equitable, and sensitive to the cultural background, interests, and the needs of every child. Next is professional standards and ethical assessment. So Australian professional standards of teachers at the graduate stage are a professional model which assists teachers to maintain ethical, reflective, and evidence-based assessment practices. These standards ensure that teachers and assessment in early childhood situations is consistent, transparent, and is accountable. The standard highlights that great teachers use curriculum, assessment, and reporting knowledge to create valuable learning experiences and use data feedback and reflection to evaluate programs. Standards 5.1.1 to 5.4.1 underline the needs of evaluate learning of students, provide feedback that is constructive and capable of improving instructional plans. All these expectations combined create a culture of integrity, teamwork, and improvement. By means of their participation in the reflective assessment, teachers demonstrate professionalism and an immense desire to assist children in their learning and development. Next is reviewing learning and using feedback. So, assessment of student learning is also a vital element of reflective and deliberate pedagogical practice that helps to allow the systemization of the assessment outcomes, discover learning patterns, and make interventions based on evidence that lead to child development. As a way of gaining first-hand evidence undergoes Um, Teacher will make use of methodological approaches such as routine observations, learning anecdotes, explicit records, and systematic conversation guidelines. The feedback mechanisms play a central role. The feedback provided by the family, peer group, and the children themselves will contribute to the constructivist knowledge of the educators and support the collaborative and culturally responsive ethos of assessment. ASICA highlights that partnering with the feedback is crucial to the strategic utilization and of feedback, enhances the quality of programs, and ensures the continuity of the learning curve. Next is the continuous improvement and reflection. Reflective practices and continuous improvement are two important aspects of the quality of teaching and learning in the field of early childhood education. Professionals frequently consider assessment tools, teaching methods, and learning spaces, thus making them inclusive, meaningful, and aligned with the EYLF framework. The reflective practice helps teachers to critically evaluate effective practice, recognize where professional development is possible, and address the needs and interests of the children in the changing needs and interests of the children. Through the systematic review of their practices, teachers keep themselves accountable, enhance professional growth, and uphold learning communities, which foster curiosity, sense of belonging, and best learning among every child. Next, these are the references that I have used, and thank you very much for listening.